The environment is different, but is the energy and vibe still as strong as it was before things changed? Welcome to a Runner Does Music, where today we're looking at the fourth album from the metalcore band I Prevail called Violent Nature. This is the first album not featuring clean vocalist and founding member Brian Burkheiser after a controversial split from the band that we're still unsure if it was truly amicable or something else entirely. While the lack of a vocalist isn't what we'll be focusing on in this review, it'll play into the critical process here, given that the band has been known for their emotional storytelling just as much for their raw and angry energy thus far in their career, with Brian Burkheiser being someone who could really carry the torch on the former, and Eric Vanderblijt being the driving force on the latter. For every alone, there's a gasoline, so what's this new era for the band sound like without Brian? The lead single and title track, Violent Nature, is all gas, no brakes, right out of the gate for this album, getting seemingly a lot done in just 2 minutes and 10 seconds. The main focus is on the heavy chorus, featuring especially strong work from Steve on guitar, but the verses in between are quick and to the point, with enough bite to survive up against the explosive callouts of "I'm a sick motherfucker with a violent nature." This is the type of lyricism that a lot of people can look at and just go, oh, it's corny, but corniness isn't really a criticism thing. Music is corny in general. A few songs earlier into the track list, we get a similarly charged track with NWO, a song that has Gabe Helgira going absolutely ham on the drums amidst a lot of drawn out, distorted guitar and, of course, those signature growls and deeper vocal range. Short song lengths are absolutely not signs that the fury is letting up here on the album, with both of these sub 3 minute songs having enough bite to stand next to past juggernauts just like Gasoline or Bow Down. The goal here with Violent Nature seems to be leaning more into the aggressive side of the band's sounds, with each song leaning harder into that element, and even when songs drift into what some people may call the traditional I Prevail vibe, you still get a lot of love and attention to things. Rain is a song that does fall in line closer to songs like Deep End or maybe even Stuck in Your Head for the middle ground elements, but I still found enough of quick little bursts of the typical Eric Vanderblijt vocals and edge. He does also have a decent showing of his clean vocals here on this song, and it's not the only impressive version of this on the album either. Pray is another song with equal attention to both sides of the spectrum in terms of this part of the album, his part in the album, with the focus on both the clean vocals and rough vocals, for lack of better terms. Another member I think thrives on both sides of the coin, soft and heavy, is bassist John Eberhard. Bass is a hard part of the metalcore formula to pick up on, especially when you got like driving guitars and angry growled vocals, but John has a good bit of footing in the album throughout the heavier beats especially, and he manages to stay with his head above water when the tempo changes. The biggest worry for fans, as I noted very briefly in the beginning, was probably if the band could still accomplish these slower and more emotive tracks. Songs with less anger and more longing, loss, or general sadness were something that Brian had dialed in with ease. And while I don't think Eric quite hits the exact marks that Brian could, given Brian had a very distinct voice, a very distinct lyrical writing style, it's clear with songs like the introductory Synthetic Soul that there's still a definite soul within the I Prevail machine. Extra vocal contributions from Dylan Bowman on the cleans also lend to the song quality, and the overall amount of quality and dedication to the side of the band is still apparent all over the album, but nowhere as strongly as on Into Hell. This track to me is essentially a quintessential I Prevail song. When it's not in your face and screaming, it abandons any sort of need for a crazy breakdown or flames on the stage to get the point across, and it accomplishes just as much power and attachment with a more mellowed out vibe that lets you sit back and relax just as much as you can get off your feet for other songs. The emotional pieces of an I Prevail album succeed here a few times over, but I do have to say that with the very impactful Into Hell and almost equally as strong Rain comes alongside a song that hits a lot of those same notes but not as well and almost feels a little disjointed. Crimson and Clover is a beautiful song that does feel a bit out of place in the album's tracklist overall. It completely strips things back to acoustic elements and a very soothing vocals section, but it's nestled right between Into Hell and the positively tearing track God, and it leaves it feeling just a little bit awkward, in terms of momentum and track list placing. Speaking of God, this song is another addition to the heavier songs on Violent Nature, and I feel like it could have closed the album out in a perfect way had it switched places with the actual closer, Stay Away. This song is arguably the heaviest song on the album, sitting alongside the likes of Gasoline, with ease and having my personal favorite breakdown on the whole album. It's such a strong track that by the time I got to Stay Away, it felt like the momentum almost suffered by comparison in a way. Stay Away is alright, but following up God and also closing out the album had a feeling like it lacked, just if maybe by means of comparison. This album is bound to be controversial given the, events leading up to it, but it's impossible to deny that this album isn't I Prevail still. I don't think I got the wording on that. This album is I Prevail is what I'm trying to say. I think I'm looking at my script now. I think I wrote that correctly. A lot of people have noted that this album kind of feels like the first 3 Days Grace album after Adam Gontier had left, but while TDG was on a slow decline going into that album, this album feels like more steady momentum from the band and shows no signs of the future having any stalls from them. My only true complaints are a shorter runtime than expected and a slightly weird ending to the set of tracks, but this is, for all intents and purposes, perfectly I Prevail. For those reasons, Violent Nature gets an 8.5 out of 10. And that's a review. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Let's get a conversation going. If you want to commission an album from me, any sort of album or even compilations, let's talk. I have my social medias linked at the end of the video, and if I can remember, and a link tree in the description. And yeah, hope you're having a good day. Hope you're staying hydrated. I'll see you next time. I